People get out, there's not much waiting for them other than alligators and pythons. Nowhere to go, nowhere to hide.
They're talking about basically building an outdoor tent detention camp in one of the hottest, most humid areas in America.
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup.
This is Ashley with Status Coup.
On the ground.
In Philadelphia.
Flint, Michigan. East Palestine, Ohio. Please support the leading independent news outlet on the ground.
Covering what the corporate media covers up.
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. Breaking news, we have arrived at the hell on earth portion of Trump 2.0, this time in South Florida, where Trump's ICE Gestapo is building a new mega detention center surrounded by alligators and pythons. No, this is not The Onion, real life. Let me give you the truly stunning and alarming details of this inhumane disaster. This from the New York Times, and I have my own alligator story because I went to school in this area. Florida builds Alligator Alcatraz detention center for migrants in the Everglades. Florida is building a detention center for migrants nicknamed Alligator Alcatraz, turning an airfield in the Everglades into the newest and scariest sounding holding center designed to help the Trump administration carry out its immigration crackdown. The remote facility, composed of large tents and other planned facilities, will cost the state around $450 million a year to run. We'll get to that price tag in a little bit. But Florida can request some reimbursements from FEMA, which Donald Trump says he wants to eliminate, said Tricia McLaughlin, a spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security. Florida Attorney General James Uthmire, a Trump ally who has pushed to build the detention center in the Everglades, has said the state won't need to invest much in security because the area is surrounded by dangerous wildlife, including alligators and pythons. Let me repeat that. The Attorney General says, don't worry, it's going to be cheaper. The alligators will provide security for free. If you want to hear this disturbing menaces, comments on this, let's listen here as the Attorney General tries to sell this absolute ridiculous, alarming, inhumane disaster.
People get out, there's not much waiting for them other than alligators and pythons. Nowhere to go, nowhere to hide.
Right now, the area is used as a pilot training facility, and as you heard, it's surrounded by pythons and alligators. Florida Attorney General James Uthmire says the facility would sit on the already constructed runway and would hold more than 1,000 beds and is surrounded by the Everglades, though it is not part of the Everglades National Park. Still, many are slamming the idea, citing environmental concerns.
This site is really important to Friends of the Everglades. It's actually the reason Friends of the Everglades was founded by Marjorie Stoneman Douglas in 1969 to stop what would have been the world's largest airport from being built right there. We call on the governor to put a stop to this proposal right now. It's a terribly bad idea.
Officials haven't shared the projected cost of the project, but say it could be operational within 30 to 60 days after construction.
So I don't even know where to start. Of course, if you follow Status Coup, and we have a lot of new subscribers, so welcome, you know that we are one of the leading independent outlets focusing on environmental degradation, environmental genocide, environmental disasters. But I want to separate the environment here, which is a true concern, and the Everglades have been environmentally attacked for decades, particularly by big sugar, big oil, and others. How about the moral ramifications of this? They're talking about basically building an outdoor tent detention camp in one of the hottest, most humid areas in America. I went to school in Tampa, which this area is south of Tampa, but I have been to the Everglades. My car actually broke down on something called Alligator Alley, which is the area where Alligator Alcatraz, as they're calling it, would be built. Fortunately, no alligators attacked me, but I could tell you, waiting for AAA for 2 hours that day, I was sweating balls. It was so hot and humid. And this was in May or June. well over a decade ago. Actually, at this point, 20 years ago. It's college for me. So they want to build a alligator/python surrounded prison camp in one of the hottest, most humid parts of America, and I guess intimidate the undocumented immigrants who, at this rate, have no due process. We don't even know if they're undocumented or American citizens, because the Trump administration has been snagging American citizens and put them there in essentially an outdoor prison camp. This is the weather in this area today. 85 degrees, real shade, meaning what it feels like, 95 degrees. If you live in Florida, you know feels like 95 right now in June. What's it going to feel like in July and August, where they're going to put these undocumented immigrants surrounded by alligators? And by the way, we already know, due to Status Coup's on-the-ground coverage, because we are the leading independent outlet reporting on the ground, covering what the corporate media covers up. Please support us for as low as $5 a month so we could fund our reporters, our cameraman, and this expensive on-the-ground reporting. We already know that in centers not in the sizzling heat, not surrounded by alligators, they are not properly feeding these undocumented immigrant prisoners. They are not giving them enough water. Let me show you the clip. This is from our John Farina on the ground outside of the Delaney Hall in New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey. This was him on the night that there was essentially a prisoner riot where 4 detainees escaped. As of now, I believe one of those detainees is still at large. There was a prison riot there because ICE is not providing adequate water, and the food they are providing is completely inadequate. This is from our on-the-ground coverage, I believe, just 2 weeks ago.
There were, Senator Andy Kim confirmed that there was an uprising inside, and there were reports of lack of food and water. Or can you talk about that a little more?
We called Senator Andy Kim's office. We alerted some other legislators too. I did hear back from Senator Kim's office. They confirmed that there was actually an uprising inside. And what we're hearing is that this all started because people were not being fed. And we've been hearing this for weeks. Yeah. And we've been reporting it to everybody for weeks too, that people are getting 2 meals a day. Sometimes the meals are ramen noodles. What we heard today is that it was either a single hot dog or it was 2 slices of bread and a bottle of water. Jeez. Was what they were served for lunch, and they hadn't eaten in 20 hours. So, and the meals are not regular, so it's like they could be fed at like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning and then not eat again until 10 o'clock at night. So it's really awful, and that's just like part of what's going on. There's like scalding hot water. There's water that you can't drink because it's got a weird taste to it. There's all kinds of the smells that you smell around here, which I know your viewers can't understand, but it's like the most disgusting odor. It stays with us for hours. Some of us lose our sense of taste after being down here for a couple of hours. Yeah.
So they're smelling that. They're breathing that.
Yes, they're experiencing that.
Support this critically important on-the-ground reporting as a Status Coup member and get great perks. Become a member right here.
And actually, the guards they're starting to have symptoms, and the other employees are starting to have symptoms, and the management is just telling them it's allergies and giving them surgical masks to wear. So, you need a KN95 to deal with what's going on down here. Even that's not enough.
So that's happening in Newark, New Jersey, not surrounded by alligators. Well, if you had the corrupt politicians, I guess you could call them one form of alligators. But what do you think they're going to do to the undocumented immigrants in the Everglades surrounded by the alligators and pythons in Ron DeSantis' free state of Florida, where in June it already feels with humidity close to 100 degrees? You think they're going to give them enough food, water, particularly water, if this is going to be a tent detention camp? I mean, at a certain point, I don't care who you are or what you believe politically, because we have progressives that watch this channel. We have some conservatives in the audience. We got liberals, whatever. The answer can't be, well, they shouldn't have broken the law. Well, why don't we start going after the bigger lawbreakers, MAGA? Is Trump going after the criminal bankers that tanked the global economy 15 years ago? Millions of people in America still haven't recovered from the financial crash brought to you by the fraud of Bank of America, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo. You're going to go after those criminals? You're going to put them in Alligator Alcatraz? How about the fossil fuel CEOs that illegally spill their planet-destroying crude oil in our water, air, soil, sickening and killing our animals? You're going to go after them? And who hide it, by the way. You're going to go after Big Pharma? How about the Sackler family, who has killed hundreds of thousands of Americans through their Oxycontin, but have gotten away with a settlement? You're going to put them in a moat, a tent camp surrounded by alligators and pythons? I mean, I could keep going down the list if you want. CEOs of Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing. It seems that we only care about the criminals who are brown. Isn't that interesting? And by the way, you want to talk about, besides the moral question here, and let me know if you live in Florida, I'd love your thoughts. You're going to spend $450 million? $450 million for this monstrosity when Florida has an exploding affordable housing crisis, exploding homelessness? I mean, just look at the affordable housing end of this. South Florida's affordable rent crunch isn't just bleak, it's the worst in the country. Again, nearly 2 of 3 renters in Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade counties are devoting more than 30% of their incomes to housing costs, according to a report Friday from the Joint Center for Housing Studies at Harvard. The analysis also reveals that more than a third of renters in the region, 304,200, are, quote, severely burdened, spending more than half of their incomes on housing. South Florida has had the highest shares in both categories for at least the past 4 years. But don't worry, the Attorney General of Florida says. We'll make it cheaper. It won't be that much because we don't need real security. We got the alligators and the pythons. I always say we live in an economic Hunger Games. Now we just live in a Hunger Games. Now let's add the homelessness in Florida, which can be deadly. It is super hot to be on the streets. Florida's homeless population has been growing at an alarming rate. As of 2024, nearly 31,000 people are experiencing homelessness on any given night in the state. This figure includes individuals living in shelters, on the streets, and in transitional housing programs. Add that to the overall number, which was an increase in homelessness in the United Corporations of America of 18% in 2024. I think that's an undercount, by the way. Very hard to measure homelessness, and that doesn't include people who are couch surfing, and there are a lot of them. I've interviewed them. This is absolutely vile. This is absolutely vile. I don't care what your politics are. Nobody deserves this. I don't care if they came to the country illegally. By the way, I mean, an overwhelming majority of these people came to the country illegally because we fucked up their countries through the drug wars, through sanctions, and through our imperialism from South America to Central America and beyond. They're not coming here for the most part because of the American dream, which is clearly a nightmare now. This on top of Trump's ICE thugs just arrested a father who is a father of 3 Marines. 3 Marines. Took him to the ground for no apparent reason. He has lived here for decades. No crime, no criminal history, nothing. Let me show you a little bit on that. This is an MSNBC reporter describing just this horrific treatment of this man who literally was taken as he was doing landscaping outside of an IHOP.
When you watch what played out in Orange County, how can you not be sickened by that? Alejandro said, and you read his statement, that you've got four heavily armed, and I'm paraphrasing here, 200-plus pound men kneeling, just watch it, beating a man who was out there cutting grass. He was cutting grass. And these heavily armed, masked agents who don't identify themselves to people, who are alleging that he tried to attack them with his weed whacker, when in fact, if you watch the video that DHS has put up, he was being sprayed with some kind of pepper spray as he ran away. They're ubiquitous all over the city right now. And the tactic is deliberately to terrorize, to scare people. That's the whole stated goal. It's deterrence. This is U.S. immigration policy 101 supersized. It's what family separation was. Stephen Miller didn't want to just take 5,500 children away from their parents. He wanted to do tens of thousands of them. And now every day in L.A., as you and I have talked about for months since Donald Trump was elected again, mass deportation is family separation, just by another name.
A new study, new polls show 60% of Americans do not make enough money to have a medium quality of life. Yet this is what the Trump administration is focused on. And by the way, Democrats wouldn't be much better. Their policy is, Trump's a fascist, put us back in. We'll give you crumbs, but at least we'll be nicer and more humane. We're in a crisis in this country. Status Coup will stay on it. Please, please support our on-the-ground reporting for as low as $5 a month, which is 16 cents a day.